Welcome in. How's everybody doing this evening? Welcome to the witching hours.
Hey, everybody.
So welcome in. I see CMC Air Boss, Keisha,
Hosters.
Welcome in.
Linguist. I didn't see Linguist pop in. Hello.
So welcome to the new home of the Witching Hours podcast here on the Witching Hours podcast on Twitch. So we've done a test stream on here before, just kind of messing around to make sure everything worked and that pieces weren't broken and falling apart. So hopefully, hopefully that continues tonight. But we just wanted to make sure that we had. Hey, yo, Erica, welcome in. And thank you for the follow little comment. We appreciate it.
Yay.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes tonight. So we have the announcement, of course, of this new page where we can kind of separate it itself a little bit, because Medium Jenny Lee has a lot going on hers, and I had a little bit there was some stuff I kind of wanted to do and work with, and so having if you've ever had to deal with any of the streaming stuff, you know that it's easier sometimes to split it up than it is to have a million things going on in one area. So that's what we did anyway. So that's why we have a new channel and why we're doing that. Of course, you can always, if you have to split tonight or something like that, you can always check out past podcasts, pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts at. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Anywhere like that, you can find the podcast, so feel free to go back and listen to past episodes if you haven't gotten them or whatever. And then the last thing to plug for this evening, I think Nightbot already got for us, which is the merch store.
Which Frostshine is modeling the hat.
Yeah. I have the Witching Hours.
Hat.
Yeah, I can maybe get a closer. I have a green screen, so we'll see if it blocks it all out.
It's green.
So we have the Witching Hours.
The Witching Hours. How exciting.
So there we go. And if I'm not mistaken, if you go to About at the bottom of the screen there, you can check out all our merch right there without leaving the page. All kinds of cool stuff. And in case anyone was doing their holiday shopping, I did receive a message the other day from the store that we use that December 7th is the cutoff for US shipping. So if there's something you want and you need it by Christmas time, if you were to order something and you want it for Christmas, make sure
do it now.
And before the 7th. Before the 7th, I think, was the date they gave me, because I don't want someone to order something and not get it on time. So that's what we have going. We ready to go for the news?
Yeah.
All right. So the news. Ghost in the Machine. Alexa is haunted. And a listener, a man catches a terrifying 2 a.m. conversation with a ghost on his Alexa. Now, if you go to our Discord, the Witching Hours Discord, and that's kind of gone through some changes too. The Discord is now like my Discord is split in between the Giant of the Frost. The top half and bottom half is the Witching Hours. If you go in there and you go to the Witching Hour News, there's a video I posted of this alleged confrontation. But a creepy video is circulating on social media claiming to show a ghost communicating through an Alexa speaker. The voice assistant is heard asking about an unidentified person in the early hours, to the surprise of a sleepy man. You can see him sleeping like on a couch there. And Alexa says, "She was my wife," out of the blue. And so the man starts corresponding with her, asking, "Who was your wife?" And then Alexa says, "You took her from me." The man says, "I didn't take anyone. You've got the wrong person." And then Alexa says, "I found her here." And And the voice assistance begins like repeating like a kind of like chattering, disturbing laugh at the end.
Ooh,
and the man unplugs the Alexa. As I was like researching,
and then it kept laughing. Oh no!
and then it kept laughing.
Yeah.
And so, oddly enough, this was posted on TikTok, and I've seen quite a few videos circulating of supposedly like paranormal communication through Alexa. So maybe with EVPs and stuff like that we've talked about previously on the show, maybe there'll be more evidence that that comes out of this electronic communication. I don't know. So
ours just can't understand anything that I put on the grocery list.
Yeah. And doesn't turn the lights off. And
yeah. And really, she listens to nothing I ever say.
Talks back to you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, yeah.
I keep waiting for the video to come out of me like yelling at her. Because she never understands anything. And I'm like, just shut up.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I am.
Medium Janelle gets angry because I talk to Alexa fine and everything's good. Yeah. And then when she does something, she starts talking back. So
yeah, she never understands anything I say. Anyway, that sounds crazy. I definitely want to watch the video. Yeah,
and so you can catch that in Discord, and there's a link once again in the same About section below. If you're not in Discord, you can click on that.
Which I just shared the link to get onto Discord if you're not on there.
Yeah, so you can get in there and check out that video and tell us what you think. Is it do you think it's a hoax? Do you think it's the real deal? Let us know.
There you go. Keisha said we need a Southern Alexa, but it wouldn't be called Alexa. Its name would be like Tammy Lynn. And it would understand everything I say. What's the next story?
The second story tonight is the boy whose case inspired The Exorcist is named by a U.S. magazine. So the boy, previously known as Roland Doe, underwent an exorcism in Cottage City, Maryland, and St. Louis, Missouri in 1949. The boy whose case inspired the portrayal of a demon-possessed child in the 1973 horror movie classic The Exorcist has been named. The U.S. magazine The Skeptical Inquirer named the then 14-year-old boy previously known as Ronald Doe, who underwent exorcism, as we just talked about. So Ronald Edwin Hunkler died last year, a month before his 86th birthday, after suffering a stroke at his home in Marrittsville, Maryland. In adult life, Hunkler was a NASA engineer whose work contributed to the Apollo space missions of the 1960s, and who patented a technology that helped space shuttle panels withstand extreme heat. One of his companions, a 29-year-old woman who asked not to be named, told the New York Post that Hunkler was always on edge about his NASA colleagues discovering that he was the inspiration for The Exorcist.
Wow.
On Halloween, we always left the house because he figured someone would come to his residence and know where he lived and never let him have peace, she said. He had a terrible life from worry. Hunkler eventually retired from NASA in 2001 after working at the agency for nearly 40 years.
Wow.
William Peter Blatty, who wrote the 1971 novel and the film based on for the same name, first heard about Hunkler's apparent demonic possession when he was a senior at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C.
So, the
anyway,
story for The Exorcist took place a lot earlier than I would have expected, 1949.
Yeah. Yeah, because
crazy.
he was an adult working for the Apollo missions as a NASA engineer.
Wow.
Which, I don't know how much more credence that could possibly lend to that story, to go through that, to believe that happened and still be a successful scientist, so blending of those two kind of things that seem to be at odds sometimes.
But then he had to feel like he was worried about it his whole life. That's crappy.
Yeah. And so there's some parts in here that he had talked about. He had been admitted to Alexian Brothers Hospital in St. Louis in 1949. and he was breaking into violent tantrums of screaming, cursing, and voices of Latin phrases. And Jesuit priests allegedly cast a demon out of his body. He has been freed by a Catholic priest of possession by the devil, Catholic sources reported in the Washington Post in August 20th, 1949.
Wow.
And basically, there's a part here that talks about it in the New York Post of the woman who was speaking, said they have no idea how the father knew to come to him to do the exorcism. Like, he just showed up. Ron's in heaven and he's with God now, she told the New York Post. There we go. An update on the Exorcist case.
Pretty interesting.
We have some news out of some news out of good old Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
What are they doing down in Arkansas?
A Minnesota couple on their 10th anniversary, if I can speak. Anniversary recently uncovered a 1.9 carat diamond in a state park in Arkansas. A couple from Chatfield, Minnesota, was on a road trip spanning 11 states when they decided to stop at the Crater of Diamonds State Park, the only public diamond mine in the United States. They arrived on a Friday morning, and after about an hour of sifting through the dirt, Seth Erickson found a metallic-looking rock. Park staff registered at a 1.9 carat brown diamond. According to the park, many visitors who find diamonds choose to name their gems. The Ericksons named theirs HIMO, the initials of each of their children. As of November, 581 diamonds were registered at the park just in 2022. So in 2022,
so they didn't get to keep it.
No, they get to keep it.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, and so far 581 diamonds have been found this year.
Wow. Keisha's planning a road trip for us to go dig for crystals.
Well, if we go, Little Wing can be our tour guide.
Little Wing's from Arkansas.
Yeah. If bumblebees can play, does it mean they have feelings? This study suggests yes. So when put to the test, bees have proved over and over again that they've got a lot more to offer than pollinating, making honey, and being fiercely loyal to a queen. The industrious insects can count and alter their behavior when things seem difficult, and now some scientists say there's proof they also like to play. A study recently published in Animal Behavior suggests that bumblebees, when given the chance, like to fool around with toys. Researchers from Queen Mary University of London conducted an experiment in which they set up a container that allowed bees to travel from their nest to a feeding area, but along the way, the bees could opt to pass through a separate section with a smattering of small wooden balls. Over 18 days, the scientists watched as the bees went out of their way to roll wooden balls repeatedly, despite no apparent incentive to do so. The findings suggest that, like humans, insects also interact with inanimate objects as a form of play. Also similar to people, younger bees seem to be more playful than the adult bees.
That's so cute.
It is. Very interesting.
Yeah. Like,
bumblebees.
Especially like with insects and bees, especially, there's a whole thing of like the hive mind and like, the work and like everything, like being like really just super efficient. And so, yeah, if they're willing to take time off to play, what does that mean about consciousness? Those kinds of ideas.
It makes me feel even worse about the yellow jacket nest we had to kill this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
so anyways,
they were in the bathroom window frame in the bathroom. So
yeah. We were fighting off yellow jackets.
They're a whole different game plan.
Okay, never mind.
We don't have proof that yellow jackets were playing with wooden balls, so.
Right.
Yeah.
They are known to be very angry, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bumblebees are super cute.
They are.
So that is the news for December 1st.
Linguists, maybe they do have awareness. She's saying, I'm curious how they think about thing when there's without awareness. Maybe they do.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they do. I mean, that's the question. We had one on here about spiders too. We had a story about finding out that spiders have dreams. And what does spiders dream about? That was on a past episode. So,
how do they know that? How do you study a little spider's brain?
I'll find the story. I save all the news on Google Docs, so I will bring up the old story and post it in Discord so we can look at that one again. That was a while back.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So today we're gonna welcome in our guest. Many of you may know Alyson is a massage therapist by day and tarot reader by night. She is a Reiki 2 practitioner, certified crystal healer, and a creator of the Just a Phase Moon Planner. Although trained as a priestess in the Avalonian tradition, she felt that her wild and chaotic energy was more fit for Wonderland because we're all mad here anyways, aren't we? Everyone, give a warm welcome to Alyson, the Priestess of Wonderland.
Woo!
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here and to be part of Team Weird. Got my shirt on.
You got your shirt
Everybody
on.
go get a shirt. Go get a Witching Hour shirt and a Team Weird shirt.
And of course had to break out my Alyson Wonderland mug.
Oh yeah,
because we have Alyson Wonderland on this Witching Hours.
Yeah, that was bought straight from the Mouse Man himself, right?
Yeah, Disney World. Mm-hmm.
I have my. It's gonna look creepy because it's green screened again, but I have my my elf son of a nutcracker coffee thermos here. So we're getting Christmased out.
Yes,
nice.
I have my pile of Christmas stuff to switch out my backdrop for tomorrow.
Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, so check out the Medium stream tomorrow night for the Christmas revelations. So yeah, it's awesome to have you on, Alyson. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. So I don't know where do we want to begin. You know, I have quite because we do this podcast and we stream it, obviously, as everybody knows now, on Twitch. So how did you kind of get started with tarot, and especially like
one question at a
all
time
of those
here,
things, like kind of like when did you kind of get into this to the metaphysical and stuff like that? When did you kind of realize you were doing stuff like that?
I think I've just always been interested in tarot cards, and actually medium Jenny Lee and I had talked about how she used to organize a deck that her mom had, and I always just loved playing with cards, and I'm not exactly sure when I got my first tarot deck, but it took reading for other people for me to really start understanding the tarot, because like when I would read for myself, I would like have all my books and just be like cowering over what the meaning is supposed to be, instead of actually like feeling into what the message was. And that was really reading for other people that made me understand like my intuitive language and like how I hear messages and how I sense messages and what the meanings of the cards are for me, because I wasn't so like dependent on what does the book say, what is it supposed to be. It taught me how to it taught me a lot about my intuition. As far as like when I first started, I've just always been interested in tarot and astrology, and I've always gone down like a natural healing path. So that natural healing always leads to some sort of energy or spirituality. Yeah, I think I've just always
talking about your intuition. What do you feel like is the type of clairs that you use? Like, do you know things? Do you feel it?
I definitely feel that I'm claircognizant, which is knowing, and clairsentient, which is feeling. And I honestly find myself really frustrated with those clairs, because it feels like clairvoyance, which I have experienced clairvoyance, but it's not like my main gift. I feel like you have validation and confirmation. Well, I saw this. Whereas claircognizance is like, I just know, and there's not really a way to explain it. And
people that have
feeling,
clairvoyance still question it though, because they just think it's their own imagination.
right, that's true.
Yeah.
And I have experienced clairaudience, but again, it's just not my strong one. And hearing something feels more validating as well. And
either that or we should be in the loony bin. I don't know.
Say that again. Sorry.
But either that or we should be in the loony bin. Who knows?
Well, that's what claircognizance feels like. Like. I don't know why, but
I just heard someone talking to me. Yeah. Was it Alexa? Oh no.
Yeah, and clairsentience is also I've struggled with too, because it's hard to feel everything, and
it is, yeah,
and to not really understand, like, is this mine, is it not mine, is it yours, I don't want it, like, why am I feeling this? But yeah, claircognizance and clairsentience for sure.
That's what I thought, but you know, it might be because I'm psychic or something. It's like, those are her too, I know it. So I think Frost Giant was getting, I think he had like 5 questions at the same time that he's getting ready to ask.
To unpack. Yeah.
So so you're into the tarot stuff and the natural healing, which I want to talk about that a lot more. But then how did you find yourself on Twitch?
Well, that was one of the things that I find inspiring, is just how you can find like every little unique thing in the world on Twitch, and somebody's out there doing it. And I find that really inspiring. So like other readers, I was like, I was looking for something that would help, because massage business is slower since the pandemic. I needed something that would help people understand that virtual healing and distance healing works and is a thing. And sometimes it's even stronger, because I think people are more comfortable at home in their own space, so that they relax and they notice subtle energy shifts more. And I was just seeing other people out there doing it, and I was like, yes, this is the thing that I'm looking for. Like, how do I reach more people and move from a one-on-one interaction to like, how do I reach more people? But really it was seeing other people, and like, you can find anything on here and you can really see that people are doing it like their own way and like really putting themselves out there. And that's just so inspiring. So I, tried to do that too.
I would have to say that you've been successful.
Yeah, I think your stream is one of when we were kind of just getting started, kind of maneuvering through the tarot section. I think you were one of the first streamers we found on there. One of the first. And so
yeah,
it's been.
I remember because Frost Giant was like, there's this chick on there and she's like all into Alyson Wonderland. And I was like, because he knows I like Alyson Wonderland. So that's how that got started. Yeah.
And how crazy that we have the same birthday.
Yeah, birthday twins.
It was just meant to be. We were meant to find each other through this Twitch world. So now I have another question. So from my experience and what my path led me down was, I did not realize that any of that kind of stuff could be done at a distance. Did you know before the pandemic that you could heal people from a distance?
Yes, because the second level of Reiki is the distance healing. But getting people to actually do it is hard. Like when I had to shut my business down completely in 2020, and I would send out marketing emails like, hey, you can still, like, we're all stressed out, you can still have Reiki healing at home. But people just don't believe in it. So I think they needed a demonstration. I think in the last couple of years, like, more people are learning about it and understanding it. And And I think that's because of these platforms that we've put ourselves out on, like, hey, look, this works.
Yeah. Because I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do a medium reading when I can't see that person. I don't know what their name is. Like, it's only from a screen name. Like, how do I even do that? And then I did it, and it was like, oh, it does work.
Yeah.
I
Somehow
did worry
you can
about
connect with Wally Romper Boy 9237 and give
I'm
them a
worried
reading.
about the screen names of having like not, because I feel like your name has power and knowing your name helps connect to the energy, but I wasn't sure about like a screen name. Like, is that work? And I used to actually ask people when I first started doing tarot to give me their name.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter.
No, because it's all just, it's their energy. You're connecting with their energy. It doesn't matter what their name is or their screen name. And apparently it doesn't matter if we can see them, you know?
Yeah.
We don't have to know anything about them. It's just like our energy connecting with their energy.
I think they connect to the name, so therefore it connects to that energy. So
yeah.
That's true, because people put typically some sort of time and effort into choosing their handle.
Something that means something to them, yeah.
Yeah. Or like me, you have your handle taken, and so you come up with the best thing next.
He's supposed to be Frost Giant, not Giant of the Frost.
Yeah, just switch it around. It works. Yeah, and you know, I get on here from time to time and do readings myself, and I'm much more new and learning than a lot of people maybe in the tarot section. But it still surprises me every time I do a reading now, because I'm like a beginner and I'm still figuring a lot of the stuff out, and I'm learning as we go through. And like every time I do a reading and someone's like, "Yep, completely nailed it," and I'm like, man, that's crazy, that's awesome. Like it's still interesting every time I do a reading. It's like, man, I really, like, I don't even know where in the world you are, and, and it works. So yeah, definitely interesting.
I can relate to having your name stolen as well. There are there's a couple other Alyson Wonderlands out there. And I have been, a long time ago, I was trying to start an herbal business, and I really wanted Alyson Wonderland to be the name of it. And there's a publishing company, and I think there's a couple musicians now that have that name. And I would sit on the domain name for at least a decade. I was like, okay, I just got to give up on this. And that's how Priestess of Wonderland came about.
Yeah. So yeah, very kind of similar to what I had. Yeah. Because I first got on Twitch, during the pandemic. I think like a lot of other people, just like, I'm like one of those people where I constantly complain about being too busy. And then the second I have a moment of free time, I'm like, let's start a business. And so as soon as
let me give myself more things.
Let me give myself a bunch of stuff to do. So I started like wanting to stream games. I was really just curious and like how all this stuff worked and how you could actually broadcast and like how people made their streams look so good and all of that kind of stuff. And so I was, doing that. Obviously, during that time, it was like completely saturated. So I had friends who would come in and watch. And then that's when Medium Jenny Lee was like, I wonder, like a year after I had kind of been messing around with that, she's like, I wonder if I could do, some of my stuff on there. And I was like, yeah, let's get you, and then the rest, as they say, is history. So, so I have a couple questions I think that were taken from Discord. Do we want to get into some of those now, or do we want to save those towards the end? Medium Shirley, what do you guys think?
I think wherever they fit in with our conversation is perfectly fine.
So we have a couple here, and in some ways you might have answered already, but I'm just going to ask the questions as they were asked, and you can answer them kind of how you want to. So we have a couple questions from Sister Blue, and the first one is, how did you know you're
a witch?
Oh, how did I know? I knew these questions beforehand, but now it's like you put on
You're
the
spot.
How did I know? I guess it was just like the attraction to it. I mean, I've always loved like even just the stereotype witch in movies and in TV. And my father has done a lot of, or when he was alive, he's done a lot of family genealogy. And my family's from New England and played a really big part of the Salem witch trials. And
Ooh, that's interesting.
There's always been like a kind of a fear about like coming out of the broom closet, as they say, because either because of that ancestral history or because of a past life. I'm still kind of like exploring that. I should get a past life reading with medium Jenny Lee, because there is this kind of fear blocking me from putting myself out there. And Twitch was just that place that was like a comfortable community that like you find your team weird and you find your other people like you. So I think I've always been attracted to it, but I'm kind of scared at the same time, I guess. Yeah.
That's interesting. As I always get spot up on here, I'm the history geek, the resident history geek. But without giving, my middle name is Clark, and my grandfather, even though have a lot of family here from the South, and I'm a very proud Southern man. My grandfather was from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and wow. I have quite a bit of family lineage going back, and I actually covered some of that when I was in college. And one of my colleagues that was writing his he was going to go through and writing his dissertation on the Salem witch trials, and I had told him that I was pretty sure that I had family that was in there, and he brought me a bunch of papers showing me that his family had actually accused someone in my family of being a witch.
Oh, wow.
So maybe we had some ancestors running around together at some point too. So that's
sounds
interesting.
Like it.
Yeah.
CMC Air Boss is from Boston too.
Yeah,
so maybe.
Oh yeah, from Boston.
He's probably got some ancestors in the same bunch there.
I lived in Rhode Island for a few years, CMC Air Boss, and I'm a huge baseball fan, and I never made it to Fenway. I went up to New England not last summer, but the summer previous to that, and they were out of town. And like I said, I'm a huge baseball fan. So someday soon, because I do have family living in Maine, I will make it up to Boston and catch a ball game there. And
there you go, Frosty. You guys have the same middle name.
Related with that middle name, yeah. My Clark.
Oh, you're with that middle name, yeah.
Yeah, Clark, and there's some Bradstreet stuff going on with my family too. So interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So the next question from Sista Blue was, what is your favorite Wiccan holiday?
Oh yeah, well, I like them all. I am any excuse to celebrate, I am for it. So I like the moon phases because you get to celebrate twice a month, and then every quarter. I think my favorite is other than Halloween or Samhain. I mean, that's everybody's favorite, would have to be Lammas, which is during Leo season in August. So I think that might be part of the draw to it for me. But I don't know, I just love that. That's always when my garden is like starting to fruit. And so it's the first harvest. So I don't know, I've just always loved that like end of summer harvest kind of energy.
So I'm not super familiar with all of like the Wiccan holidays. Like, as much as I've gotten into and kind of always been into stuff like that, I've never really delved that deep into like the different Wiccan holidays and stuff like that. But I imagine most of them all kind of line up with, do they all kind of line up with other holidays like the spring festivals and Easter and stuff like that? Or are there some that are just like their own kind of thing?
So 4 of them line up with the winter solstice, the spring equinox, the summer solstice, and the fall equinox. And then there's in between those dates too. So the spring equinox is usually around Easter. Imbolc before that is Groundhog's Day, or Candlemas is in the Catholic tradition. So most of them are associated with a holiday usually, like Yule is Christmas, Samhain is Halloween. But not all of them do. Like Lammas, the one that I'm talking about, is August 1st. There's nothing.
No.
Nothing.
We don't have much for holidays in the summer in the United States. No. We have the 4th of July. And other than that, it's kind of, I guess the weather's too good. We already have a reason to celebrate. We don't we don't have to make
summer is the holiday.
Yeah. And I'm with you, Alyson. If you want to create a holiday every week, I'm fine with it. I'm ready to go. So.
Me too.
Tea Time Talks asks, what did you learn about yourself throughout your journey as a tarot reader? And real quick before you answer, if anyone has any questions in chat tonight, feel free to throw them in there, and we will make sure to ask your question.
Wow, you guys are good at coming up with the summer holidays.
Yeah.
I don't even know when Flag Day is.
Flag Day.
Oh yeah, I missed it out to check
Memorial Day and Labor Day. That's like the kind of opening and closing of summer. I think I kind of answered the tarot question already a little bit, because it really taught me like what my spirit language is. And it's still teaching me to trust, because like you said, Gina the Frost, when you are surprised that when your readings are accurate, it's that doubt that like causes it to be wrong. If you just allow it and trust it, that I don't know what this means, but this is what I'm getting. So it's still teaching me about trust, because when I'm like, this is weird, I don't want to say this to this person, that's what they're not getting the message unless you say it. So it's still teaching me about my intuition and trusting and allowing. Because I like that evidence, like I was saying with the Claire gifts. I want to see it, and I want to hear it, and I want to have that validation. But trusting is the lesson for me.
So the next question we have from Tea Time Talks, I think we need to kind of maybe preface it and have some other questions first, because the question is about astrology, and we haven't really delved into that yet. But I know that you do star charts and stuff like that, which I 100% one of these days, maybe with Christmas coming around, who knows, would love to get a star chart from you, because I know my sun sign, but I'm not positive about my moon sign and stuff like that. So I've been interested since I first started watching your streams to get that done. So let's talk about astrology a little bit. Like, well, obviously that's you do the moon phase planner and stuff, and so how big how did you really dig into that, and how did the planner and stuff like that become such a big thing for you?
That's a big question.
It is a big question.
I mean, astrology in general is a never-ending journey. I totally consider myself an amateur with astrology, because there's something that I'm learning every day. And it's so precise and mathematical that and confusing, and it really is infinite. But with the moon phases, that all came like starting to follow the moon. The moon represents our emotions, so it's how we feel. And I like to have this validation and this confirmation. And what I found by going back through my old journals, I was starting making a habit of writing the moon phase and the moon sign whenever, just as part of the date, whenever I do a journal entry. And going back and looking at that, it's like, every time there's a new moon in Scorpio, I'm sad and depressed or feeling overwhelmed. And Scorpio energy is dark and overwhelming and watery and emotional. And it was just like, I had this catalog of I always feel like this on this day. And even just, I'm always found myself writing in my journal on a last quarter moon. And it was just like, the last quarter moon is when you're wrapping things up and wrapping up the moon cycle and starting to wind down and get ready for the dark phase so that you're resting and not as active. And that is a prime journal time. It was like every time the moon was in a last quarter, I'm sitting down with my journal and getting quiet and going within, which is the whole point of the moon cycle, is to allow yourself to be active during active times and rest during dark times. And because I like to have that validation and that hey, this is proof. Like every time the moon is in Scorpio, I feel like shit. Like there's a reason for it.
Stupid Scorpio. Sorry, Scorpios.
Well, I love Scorpio. No offense to any Scorpios out there, but it's difficult to pay your bills and do the mundane, stupid chores when you want to be diving into the subconscious and exploring the occult. And it's like I don't want to like do my chores. I want to play with my tarot cards and I want to meditate. So that I think it was like wanting to be in that Scorpio energy, but then having stuff in my day planned that didn't fit that. So it was like almost like an out of alignment, like don't plan things on Scorpio days.
Yeah. So that's interesting comparing to like tarot readings where like very much often tarot readers will say like, hey, this is just kind of guidance, like take what you can out of this reading and use it, however you kind of see fit. Is there more, and I'm imagining obviously with the planner here, but is there more to astrology in terms of like maybe actually trying to plan things around different phases of the moon?
Oh, I think so. And that was one of the main things or reasons that I wanted the planner, is because there's a lot of moon planners out there, but they're all still following the Gregorian calendar of starting things on the first of the month. They list the moon phases and they have all that information. But what makes the Just a Phase Moon Planner different is that each month starts on the new moon. So you're not starting a project on January 1st. You're starting a project on January 21st when we have our first new moon of 2023. Because when I would start things on the first of the month, like they wouldn't work out. Like by the end of the month, I'm not even interested or doing it. But when I started starting things on the new moon, they actually worked out. And by following that cycle, it gets you in that flow. It gets you in alignment. And I can't really explain it why, other than I've tried it and it works.
It's really interesting. And that's something like I've been using your moon planner for about half a year now, but for me, my brain still can't get in line with all of the moon information. So I think there's a part coming up soon where I can reflect on it. And I'm interested to go through that and look and see what was going on with the first quarter and the full moon and the last quarter. Like for me personally, like what was my stuff?
And it's
I haven't been able to see it yet.
It's good that you have been doing your mood trackers, because all that information is there for you.
Yeah.
So just, I literally like tally up every full moon. What was my like mood score? And it's like, oh, and it changes throughout the year too. Like, and then there's your birthday moon cycle on top of that as well. There's a lot to it. It's never ending. And I think it's just about finding what works for you and making it work for your life.
Well, we, Medium, Jenny Lee, and I both work for public schools. And I will tell you that throughout all the science teachers and everyone who works there, I'm sure there's pretty much at least 99% agreement that there's something different that happens on the full moon.
Kids act like crazy jerks when it's a full moon.
Wildness ensues, maybe for the teachers too. So, yeah, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, people talk about it. It's almost something that's recognized as a
They'll
truth.
be like, is it a full moon today?
But then, you know, people still question it, even though they have, you know, this thing that goes along with it. Yeah.
It's like that in food service too. Whenever you have a crazy night with like rowdy customers or rude people, it usually ends up being a full moon. It's like, what is going on today?
So why is that, Alyson, that full moons make people crazy?
It's a time that you're supposed to be more active, and the energy is high, and a lot of times that's emotional energy. So
that makes sense.
People don't know how to deal with their emotions.
That's for sure.
You're supposed to be running around naked in the woods, I guess, right? Like doing all kinds of cool rituals and stuff. And instead, you're not doing that.
We're at school. Keisha said nurses don't like it either.
Yeah.
And police scanners. Yeah.
Yeah, the police scanners on the full moon.
I bet with kids, it's just their hormones are going crazy too, and they just don't know what to do with all that energy. But I still think most adults don't either.
No. I've taught at every level, elementary, middle school, and high school, and I would have to say that elementary school kids are more off the chain on a full moon.
Oh wow.
And it's just because I would imagine, one, they really don't know how to control their emotions, and they're also like more in tune with themselves still. They haven't learned how to turn it off yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, elementary school's really fun on a full moon day. They're literally bouncing off the wall.
Linguist said, I go crazy on a full moon and everything around is just falling apart. I literally ask if it's a full moon today. I noticed that things were going really bad 7 years ago, and since then I've been paying attention. And CMC Airboss said, why are we active in the full moon? Because we can see at night under the full moon lighting, which I think that's always definitely interesting, especially in the winter when those days get short. I think I've been going through that quite a bit right now, like the little bit of the winter, not really a depression, but just kind of like the man is dark already kind of thing. And so when you get that full moon light, and it almost like you get an extension a little bit of the day, I think kind of triggers something for sure. CMC Airboss.
Recharge.
So I have a question that because we knew we were going to have you on. I was driving somewhere. I know. Was it just last night? My memory is really bad. I had to drive in the night recently. It might have been last night, and there was just the smallest sliver, which was absolutely beautiful. The sky was crystal clear, and just the smallest crescent moon.
Yeah, I think that was earlier this week.
Yeah. What kind of energy? I mean, I was curious. The question came to me then, and I said, I'm going to have to ask Priestess when we have her on. So what kind of energy do we get from a moon like that? Because I think that might be my favorite moon, just like the beauty of it. Just that I've always loved that.
Well, it depends on whether the crescent was on the right side or...
Looking at it, the crescent was on the right. And the dark side was on the left.
That would have been a waxing crescent moon, which is immediately after the full moon. Or I'm sorry, immediately after the new moon. So the light is increasing. When the light is on the right, the moon is waxing and increasing in energy. So when you have just that little bit of light and it's increasing, you're still kind of really close to the dark moon. So you might be low on energy, but as the light increases, the energy increases too. So it's kind of like coming out of your hibernation at the waxing crescent.
Interesting. Is there anything I'm missing in chat there, Medium Julie?
CMC Airbus was just talking about, because he's a pilot, if you guys did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
Flying under a full moon with snow on the ground. That does sound absolutely magical.
Yeah, everything looks ethereal. I bet. I imagine you get a lot of beautiful views, CMC Airbus, that, you know, a lot of human beings never get to see. You know, and that makes me think, my father was in the Navy, and I've always, you know, thought about that too, of like being out in the middle of the ocean at night. Mm-hmm. And just the skies that he got to witness, and I can only imagine, because I've been out on boats, but just being all the way out in the middle of the ocean somewhere where there's just miles and miles away from any kind of humanity, you know, how maybe eerie that could even be, just to have this darkness in the sky and just water everywhere. But I imagine a full moon night, we reflecting off the ocean, and that darkness could be similar, maybe. So yeah, for sure.
So we were leading up to Tea Time Talks question, which was, what's your favorite thing about astrology?
Yeah.
I think, again, it just gives you that confirmation and validation of understanding who you are, why you are the way that you are. And I think we're all trying to discover ourselves. And I think astrology gives us at least a snippet of the answer. And I also think that, like, if there's anyone out there that is like, well, I had my astrology chart read and I didn't believe anything they said, I didn't sound like that person. I also think that our astrology chart is the person we're growing into. Like, so if you don't necessarily relate to it now, I think that you will eventually. Like, I never related to being a Leo until maybe the last decade or something, because I've always very shy and quiet and soft-spoken and don't want to put myself out there. But the older I get, the more I'm like, fuck it, let's just put ourselves out there.
That's absolutely hilarious, because, as you know, I've been me and Medium Julie have been an item for quite a few years, and she's sharing the same birthday. She's been the exact same way.
Yeah.
Very kind of shy, and but I would say within the last decade, definitely embracing your Leo quite a bit more.
I have also gotten to the F it.
But it's whatever. It's very interesting, because Leos are usually, you know, I've always been like, I don't know, like, are you a Leo? But then it's starting to show. So that's interesting that you both have that same.
Yeah.
It's cool
because you mix in that Virgo.
Yeah, that Virgo. Yeah. Which is kind of a weird combination, but I mean, you know, it works.
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty decent people, I think.
The center of attention, but then like trying to help everybody else out.
So
a good combination.
CMC Airbus has a question. How else has knowledge of astrology affected your outlook on life?
It gives me hope. Whenever I'm feeling sad, depressed, or lost, especially your North Node, I recommend everybody discovering what your North Node is, because it's like your North Star, and it gives you direction. And our South Node is the opposite of that. It's what we did we've already done. It's like the place that we've already been, but we tend to kind of fall back into that comfort zone because it's safe. And your North Node pulls you out of your comfort zone. And that's where we have challenges and obstacles, and it's hard and it's scary. But once you do it and step out of your comfort zone, it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like this, like it just clicks and it makes sense. So I always look at my North Node when I'm feeling lost and I need direction, because for me, Gemini is my North Node. And I'm supposed to talk about it. I'm supposed to talk about astrology and tarot and spirituality. And that pulls me way out of my comfort zone, especially doing it in front of people. But astrology gives me hope whenever I'm feeling lost, for sure.
What is your south node then?
Sagittarius. So going from one adventure to the next, like continually moving and never actually like getting to that point. I'm like, okay, this isn't working. Let's pick up and go somewhere else. But my lesson is to like stay there and figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess we kind of talked about that when we got together on our stream. So we did. Yeah. Now I'm interested to know what mine are.
I know, right? That's why I didn't even know like such a thing, you know, and it's not like I don't look into this stuff, but I like didn't even know. Everyone's like, well, what's your, moon sign? I'm like, what? What's that? I'm a Gemini.
What's a moon sign?
So for the last, I guess, it's probably been a couple years now. And I tried kind of looking up online and I kept getting like different answers. How important is your time? That's what, like your birth time, because I might have it on my birth certificate, but I don't know if I necessarily have it nailed down anymore. So how big of a role does that play?
The time you want to be as close as possible. And that can even be like, does your mom or do your siblings remember, was it nighttime or was it daytime?
Mm-hmm.
That narrowing it down to at least that is helpful. The time wouldn't affect your moon because, well, unless the moon like within an hour shifted. The moon changes every 2 to 3 days. So it's really your rising sign, which is a pretty key part. That changes more frequently. So the time would matter.
Okay. I have a rough idea, so I should be okay then.
Okay, yeah. And you could, I usually recommend to people, if you don't know the time and you have a rough idea, you can try putting in like an hour before and an hour after and see what changes and see whatever you feel sounds more like you. I have to do that with my mom's chart. And I swear she is a Capricorn sun with a Capricorn moon. But there is a slight difference. And she's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, no, Mom, you are Capricorn through and through.
So I was just looking at your chart that you did for me when we did our stream together. Okay, so this is really confusing to me because my north node and south node are on the cusps of two on each end. Like, I'm on the line of a Leo and a Cancer for my north node. And then on the other end, I'm on the line of two other ones. I don't know what their symbols are. The two wavy lines and the one that looks like an N with a squiggle on it.
That would be Aquarius or Capricorn.
Aquarius. Yeah.
That's a tough one because since we were just talking about how you feel like you're growing into your Leo-ness, that would be a very Leo North Node thing to do also. So
that's so weird. It's like exactly on the line in between two, the south one. How strange.
I don't remember what I did with your chart. I wish I could look at it. It'd be in Discord, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, how about we do this? We have gone for 1 hour. Let's take a quick break. If you've been doing a dance, needing to use the restroom, or refreshing your drink, we can do so. So let's take like I don't know, a minute or two. We'll go to the Be Right Back screen. When I upload podcasts, this will be a perfect place to be able to put a little ad in. So let's take a short break. You guys remember to mute yourselves on Discord. Oh. And we'll see you guys in just a minute. I got to get some more coffee anyway. And we can check that out if you need to. Okay. See y'all in just a minute.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to The Witching Hours. You can visit our social media at facebook.com. Follow Medium Jenny Lee on Twitter and YouTube. which contains videos related to mediumship, tarot, and general weirdness. You can follow Giant of the Frost at Twitter and Frost Giant Rune and Tarot, where you can find personalized rune and tarot readings. Past episodes of The Witching Hours can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many other places you listen to your podcasts. Now, back to The Witching Hours. All right, so we are back. Just to kind of reset everything, if you have come in since the beginning, this is The Witching Hours, and our guest tonight is Alyson Wonderland, Priestess of Wonderland, and we are discussing tarot, astrology, moon phases, and a litany of other things that we can get into here very shortly. Thanks again for everyone who has come in to hang out with us tonight. As we record this, make sure you put your questions in there. We've already had some great questions in chat tonight, so appreciate everyone for coming and checking this out. Were you able to figure anything out about the moon phases there?
The north and south node things?
Yeah, I think it's definitely Leo, because there's a little number next to it that says a 7.
Okay.
Each house has 30 degrees, so you're at 7. So if it was maybe like our sun sign is 29, so that's like right on the line. But the 7, you have
Seven's
but
definitely in the Leo for the north.
Yeah.
But my south is at 0.
Oh.
It's like right on the line between Aquarius and Capricorn.
That's another hard one too, because your moon is Capricorn, right?
Yes, my moon is Capricorn. Yeah.
So that's hard to tell whether your comfort zone is Capricorn because of your moon or because of your south node. But then Aquarius is the weirdo of the zodiac, and
yeah, I'm definitely the weirdo who's sitting around organizing things in alphabetical order for no reason. So yeah, it fits.
I have a 1-year-old kitten here who's trying to tear down the whole set here. So you see me frantically looking around.
Bruna.
Bruna's on the prowl.
She's on the prowls. Yeah, she's waiting for our son to come home so he can play with her. He'll be here in a little while.
Yeah.
1-year-old cats are definitely different than senior cats.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And there we go. All right, let's be right back.
She knocked the backdrop down. Ay. Gotta fix the green screen.
I know. Usually my cat is the one tearing.
Yeah. There is a video you had put up recently. I can't remember which one it was, but where like you just stopped and like you leaned over and you like zoomed in on the background. The cat is like tearing something up. Like
they're so wild. It's crazy. I don't remember. Like I have a senior cat. I don't remember her being like that when she was a kitten. But I mean, she must have. But that was 20 years ago, so I don't know.
Yeah. Green screen's been fixed.
Yes.
Okay.
I've been whisked away back to Auckland.
So I had a question. What in the world is a priestess of Avalonian tradition?
Well, in England, there. Have you heard of the book, The Myths of Avalon?
Yes.
So it's maybe a mystical land where priestesses used to live, which is really kind of like the foundation of pagan paganism. But it's very strict, and you have to be like this, like it's like you're embodying the goddess, kind of like a priest. But I'm not very disciplined, and I'm not. So, I mean, I went through a year-long training, and I was just like, I'm too crazy for this. I'm too crazy for this.
So what were some of the really good things that you took from it that you kept, though?
I mean, I need to be more disciplined. I need to not react. I learned discernment, and also just like the difficulty of not taking on other people's energy was like a huge struggle for me, as being an empath, and it still is, like, especially with my massage clients. But it taught me to kind of stand in the middle. You're like standing in the middle of the dark and the light, and seeing beyond the veil and bringing those messages forward, but not like getting lost in it, and not having any judgment, or just like staying in the middle. But I like to go back and forth.
All right.
So it was a year-long class. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's interesting. So we have a couple more questions here from Discord. One comes from Amber asking about if you have a favorite tarot deck or oracle spread that you like to use personally.
Favorite? I don't have a favorite tarot spread. Daily card draws are something that is really beneficial to my mental health. And when I don't do it, that's when I start slipping into that anxiety, depression. So just having that daily practice is really important to me. I can tell you that I don't like the Celtic cross spread. It's too big and all over the place. And it's I like quick daily draws, something to start my day or end my day with it. As much as I would love to sit and decipher a humongous spread like that, I usually don't have 3 hours out of my day to like really dive into that.
I like spreads with like 5 cards.
Yeah, that's like a really good number.
Yeah.
I also kind of don't like past, present, future spreads. And it's not the 3 card, it's like I always feel like the past encompasses so much, and so does the future. And then I just don't like them. I don't know.
I haven't attempted anything that big yet. I usually do a 3 card like Norn spread, just because that was what I did with runes. So it'd be interesting to try to, I don't know, maybe that's something to mess around with, but I could definitely understand how that could become kind of cumbersome.
And remembering like which one was meant what, like what it was representing, it's a lot.
It is. But then like my friend Charity, she'll do this a you and them Celtic cross spread. So it's 24 cards. Wow. And she goes through it like, but I don't know, maybe because she's been doing it so long and she just knows that this is that, and not me.
Practice more.
Not me. I'll give me 5 cards or 6 cards, and I'm good. Good.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
for me.
And the other question there from Amber as well was, so after, a long work day and, all the things that come along with that, what are some of the things that you do to kind of center yourself, especially if you're going to be going through a stream and readings and things of that nature?
That's a hard question too, just in the like, how much time do you have? I like things that are quick and easy, like daily card draws, and breath work. I just do like a simple breath work where like putting one hand on your chest and one hand on your abdomen so that you're feeling that rhythm and making sure that you're breathing correctly. And I like to just inhale and hold my breath for a few seconds and exhale at least 3 times. So that's something like quick and easy that you can do like right in the moment. But the biggest thing is we have to, when we're working so closely and intimately with people, even if it's not in the, even if they're not like physically right there in front of you, is disconnecting from that. Because like even just people that you're interacting with throughout the day, you're picking up on their energy and you're carrying it with you. So making sure to literally drop it at the end of the night and send it back to them, especially when you're doing such deep spiritual work and connecting to people's energy, purposely connecting to people's energy is to disconnect from it.
Yeah.
And again, that would depend on how much time I have. One of my favorite practices is using clear quartz points, just like any regular point, and having the point pointing away from me and asking to release that energy. Like I send this energy back to that person. And then in the same way, you can turn the point facing you and call your energy back.
We just got a raid. Hey,
wow.
Shady Lady is raiding with 24 people. Holy moly. Welcome in, raiders. I was wondering what was going on. I could see the chat tick, 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 ticking out of the corner of my eye. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. This is the Witching Hours. We're here with Priestess of Wonderland, talking about all kinds of witchy wonderfulness. Hello.
What did you guys do tonight?
Yeah, hey, Shady Lady. What did you guys do? What was y'all doing over there? Somebody, Nightbot's yelling at people.
Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome. Thank you, hey, Shady Lady. We are the Witching Hours. You've caught us on a new channel, and here we record the live portion of a podcast, and we talk about all things, well, we'll just say weird. Metaphysical, Team paranormal,
Team Weird, woo woo,
aliens, tarot, vampires, anything that's worth a late night discussion after you've had maybe one or too many.
You guys are doing a full moon podcast astrology check-in, and this is the perfect podcast stream for you to raid. And you love Priestess of Wonderland, so awesome! Thank you guys for the raid.
Excellent. Yeah, so we're talking to Priestess of Wonderland tonight, Alyson Wonderland, and we are talking about astrology and her just a phase moon planner and all kinds of other stuff there. And that leads me. Oh yes, Hoaxer says the Mandela effect. Mm-hmm. That was a good conversation. We might have to get into another one of those sometime. Those are always fun.
Because Alyson just brought up like one about god dang frickin' Corey Haim, and I about lost my damn mind. And still, if I think about it just for a second, I'm like,
It really made me feel uneasy for a couple days.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
No, this can't be. It can't be.
I was going to say Panthera the Feral Wood Witch. Thank you for the follow. Logan Anders 42. Thank you for the follow. And Kat Blebs, thank you for the follow. Welcome in and thank you. As always, if you enjoy what's going on here tonight, you can find past episodes of The Witching Hours anywhere you listen to your podcast. Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, You can watch the video version on Spotify, all of those places. So if you enjoy, go check out past episodes. I don't want to interrupt. So was there something that you were getting ready to ask me, Julie?
Well, Linguist just asked a question.
Okay.
She said she just created her birth chart and she has no idea what she's looking at. Is there a good source to break it all down?
I wish I had a birth chart in front of me, but if you get overwhelmed by the circle, you'll see like little, usually every chart generator has like a little list on the side, and you'll see Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Venus. It's all listed there for you. And I think that like my brain works in linear better than the circle graph, because the circle graph is just like a foreign language and you're like, what am I looking at? And then you start confusing yourself because it's just overwhelming. So look at the side and see if you can find the list of planets. And then you might have to like Google the planet or the zodiac symbols, because a lot of times like it'll say Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, but then they'll have this zodiac symbol. So if you don't know the symbols, you can find like a list online that might help you.
That's what I just had to do because I didn't know what two wavy lines was and an N with a squiggly at the bottom.
Yeah, and there's some good. I mean, I'm sure the online sources are great, and there's always books you can pick up too, Linguists. There's some books that Medium Jenny Lee has. I'll thumb through sometimes, and I'm like, okay, what do I need to know about? Refresh my memory, because we'll do like those love readings and stuff for signs, and so oftentimes I'm like, I know Aquarius, but let me like go through this again and refresh my memory before we do a reading and stuff like that. So they're good as well.
How do you understand it all? It's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a lot to process.
Yeah, it is a lot. I really like Chani Nicholas's chart generator because she gives you like a little paragraph for each planet, and it has a really nice breakdown that's pretty easy to understand.
You offer the birth chart, kind of go over things too, don't you?
Yeah, I have it on my website. The videos really end up being long though. They're usually like an hour long, so it's a little bit more than an overview, I guess.
Yeah. What do you call them? I can't remember.
Birth chart overview.
Birth chart overview.
And is
that not go over thingy? Is not what it's called.
Go over thingy.
And is that on your coffee or the Ko-Fi? You have one of those, right?
That's a good question. It's on my website.
It is on there because I've seen it.
It is on the coffee shop. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, once again, just like the Witching Hours podcast merch store, with the holidays coming around, if you know someone, birth chart, hour-long video.
I think that he's trying to suggest that I get him one of those for Christmas.
No, I'm talking to chat. I'm only talking to chat.
He's like, I've really been wanting to get one of. Mate, Christmas is coming around. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more.
Well, wasn't that on your last stream? I think you dropped about three hints last Friday. I think so.
Yeah, I need a ring light.
I use a book light.
It's too dark over here. Oh yeah, book light.
It is dying though. They don't last very long.
Okay, do we have any more questions from Discord? I think we missed one from Tea Time Talks. What or who inspires you most?
I wasn't sure if she meant astrology wise, but I would definitely say Chani Nicholas is my favorite astrologer and really inspiring. And I think I kind of mentioned it at the beginning of the stream, of seeing everybody just really be themselves here on Twitch and like doing the thing their own way is so inspiring. Like there's a million tarot readers on Twitch, but they're all doing it so unique and different, and it all has a different vibe, and there's art and music, and it's so unique and inspiring. I love it. I love it.
I do
you
too.
can just see it in people's faces of like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. It's great.
Yes. And I think it's been really interesting. And, I've only followed for the last couple of years, so I don't know OGs that have possibly come and gone from that channel, and I don't know the whole history of it, but from that section. But I think it's been really interesting to get to be doing like what we've been doing, and like getting people on each other's streams and stuff like that. But more, I know there's some others that do that too, because just being able to have the discourse of like people who do things, like you said, every tarot reader is doing things different ways or have their own insights into things. And so I think it provides a good forum to kind of, because it's interesting to see where everyone's coming from, because like you said, everyone really does have a different outlook and take on all of these things. So it's been really interesting.
I think people want to have these conversations too, and there like really wasn't any other place for it.
That's true, especially like with video and voice, and not just some internet forum,
or just
Reddit,
listening to somebody talking about it.
Which happens a lot to me on YouTube. I'll watch this really good video, and then I'm like, I want to ask a question.
Let's have a conversation.
That's how I feel about
That's just me.
Every hour. I'm like, I wish I was there watching it now.
Well, now here you are.
I know.
You are the guest.
And we would like to get a little bit more of like a regular, like, the second and fourth Thursday of each month or something. That way people can kind of like know when it's coming, because we tend to be random. But it's also because we're working with guests. So sometimes it's like, I can do it this Tuesday, and it's like, okay, well, we'll do it Tuesday then. So we're trying to, in the future, kind of plan it out a little bit more. But sometimes having the guest is more important than so
making sure it's on a certain day.
So we're getting there, and we'll try to that way people, because sometimes it flies under the radar. But that's also why we created the upload podcast part of it. But so I have another question for you, as Bruno's on the prowl again, now on the china cabinet. So we'll see how this goes. If you hear crashing, just be right back screen. So with Christmas coming around the corner, the holiday season, Yule, of course, a holiday that means a lot of different things to different people. But because I asked you about this earlier, diving kind of into herbalism and stuff like that, is there any kind of association with herbs and stuff like that with the holiday season? And I guess in general, we can just start kind of getting into some of the benefits of that. And can you associate those with certain holidays?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think the most well-known is like the pumpkin spice season, which a lot of those Yule flavors kind of are along the same lines as the pumpkin spice. And really, I think that's because it's all of those spices are warming, and not necessarily just because you drink it, but they actually, or you drink it hot, but they actually do like warm your body up. So I think that's why the spicier ones are around this time of year. But I've never really thought about associating herbs with springtime, other than like that's what's growing. In early spring, you're going to have violet and chickweed and nettles, which aren't really scented at all. But those are just the first things that come up in the springtime. And then like you'll have your sunflowers. Anything that's a flower is like in the summertime, because that's just when they flower.
Our backyard completely blooms full of violets. So what are violets good for?
Well, violets are cooling, and they're really great for your lymphatic system. Some say that they can even break down cancer walls, but there haven't been that many studies on it to get that validation. But boosts your immune system, and specifically the lymphatic system helps with that circulation.
Would you eat them, make a tea, Dry them? What do you do with them?
The leaves you can put in a salad. They just kind of taste like a salad green. And the flowers, I mean, like people like to candy them and put them on cakes and stuff. And they do kind of have a sweet, like even without adding honey or sugar or anything to them, they kind of have a sweet flavor to them. So they, you can do the flowers and the leaves. The roots are useful as well, but it's mostly the leaves and flowers that people use.
Because I could just go out and harvest a crap ton of violets.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the whole backyard is
what is
violets. They're
about
beautiful.
April or May, our whole yard just turns into nothing but violets and dandelions. So it's just like purple and yellow. It's absolutely for weeds in terms of like not the manicure lawn, but I think more beautiful.
I throw dandelion seeds in my yard. They're good for the soil, and they're good for us.
Yeah, it's always that spring is always welcome. Well, one of the reasons I asked that is because I've checked out, of course, your YouTube channel. So make sure if you haven't gone and subscribed to Priestess of Wonderland, go check her out over there on YouTube. And I know that you had, if I'm not mistaken, you had a potion video. I'm not sure how many you had, but one specifically, I think it was like for like cleaning or something like that. So what kind of potions do you typically make, and what kind of potions have you had success with?
As far as like magical uses, mostly for clearing energy is mostly what I use, at least aromatherapy for. Other than because I'm a massage therapist, I'm using all the calming herbs and stuff like that. But being an empath, I've always used scent. Scent in general almost feels like it creates this bubble around you. So using that for protection and clearing energy and stuff like that. So when us empaths put yourself in a bubble every day, you can do that with scent. So like the scent, and then your brain will associate the scent with, hey, I have this protection up.
What are some scents that you like to use for that?
I know that we're not supposed to, but I love sage. I love white sage so much. And it is a desert plant. It should not grow in my area, but I have a beautiful white sage plant in my backyard, and I feel like it wants me to work with it. But it is over harvested. I recommend trying to grow it yourself. I can't believe that I did it, but I love it so much, and I can't not work with it.
No, I didn't even know you weren't supposed to. I use it every time before I start doing my work,
Yeah. Any smoke is going to be cleansing though, because it's like getting into all those nooks and crannies and expanding and clearing. But I love sage so much. It's one of my favorite.
Go ahead.
I also like the evergreen trees, cypress and pine, and because those are really earthy and grounding, but they're also very protecting because they have that like hardwood earthy protection.
I was going to say, like, I wasn't aware of the white sage being like over harvested either. I didn't know about that. So is there an alternative that you recommend? I know you said like any smoke, but is there a go-to that you have?
There's always culinary sage. It's going to have the similar properties. I like cedar as well, again, for that strong earthy protection. So that would be my next go-to if I wasn't using sage. And you can usually find a cedar bundle, like right alongside the sage bundles at the metaphysical stores. Lavender.
I just burned our sage incense.
All right. So check up on chat here. We have Cosmic Carly finally made it. We'll welcome in Cosmic Carly. Linguist said she burned some last night.
It's just so wonderful and magical. And it is also, so I've heard different stories from some Native Americans say that it's a closed practice and that we shouldn't be smudging. But I've also heard that because the plant is so magical that like, why not let everybody use it?
Uh-huh. Huh.
So I've heard both sides of the story.
That's interesting.
I don't think anything should be a closed practice for anybody. We're all the same energy.
Well, I think like the end goal should be, I mean, like, especially in America, like we don't have, other than Christianity, we don't have like spirituality. And I want to live in a world that's more spiritual and more connected. So if we're preventing people from discovering and learning about these different cultures and spiritualism, I feel like that's setting us back.
Yeah.
But I can't really speak for other cultures, and I respect that if they don't want to share, then
yeah,
who am I?
Yeah, I can see that. I kind of see both sides of it too, especially when you go back to the fact that all people really, no matter where your ancestry is from, goes back to shamanistic roots. And so, the use of plants and that connection with the earth, I think, is important for a lot of people. And I think it's something that's being rediscovered to a certain extent in our modern society. So on one hand, it's like you want to respect, the wishes of certain cultures, but the lines begin to blur, like when you stop separating, the lines begin to blur. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting conversation to have, if nothing else.
It really is. Because I don't know, if we're preventing these spiritual practices, then we're not going to live in a more spiritual society. And that I want to see more spirituality in our culture and society. So what's the end game of preventing it and withholding it?
Yeah, exactly. Shouldn't be exclusion. There we go. Kat says it's a closed practice because we as white people don't understand how to honor their practice, right? And that's my understanding. That's completely understandable. Yes. But I've been thinking since we've been talking about this, that there's a lot of different spiritual things out there that people try to make closed practices, like even mediumship. Certain mediums want to be put on a pedestal and be like, I have this gift, but really we all can do this, you know? And it shouldn't be something that's like this special thing, because we can all do it if we pay attention and we try and we listen. And same thing with Reiki. I feel like the absorbent amount of money that they will charge people to like become a Reiki practitioner kind of makes it an exclusion for a lot of people. Like, I haven't done it yet because I know I at least want to get to the second level, but I have to have X amount of dollars to do such. And that kind of excludes a lot of people from doing it. So, we started out this conversation talking about Native American spirituality, which is totally, we've done enough terrible things to them. If they want to keep their stuff to themselves, then that's perfectly fine. But it goes beyond that, it's like everywhere, really.
Yeah, of like just talking about the human experience in general. And and you can talk about, once again, as the history guy, very well versed in all the political aspects of what's happened in America specifically. But if we're looking at trying to be more interconnected and connecting with each other as human beings, and going back to our roots in a more connected world. And that's what that spiritualism is. Then it doesn't do any good to cut off the spiritualism and to continue kind of what we're entrenched in, or been entrenched in anyway. But that's just there's probably a million, like I said, a conversation definitely needs to be had. Not saying it doesn't need to be done.
I think we're craving it. I think we're craving more spirituality, and that's why people are falling into these different cultures and then realizing, oh wait, this isn't mine. But what's wrong with learning it?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, I like to learn about all kinds of things,
and that's like,
and see what fits, like what feels right for me personally.
When I study the runes and I get into learning the history of it, which is important because you have the historical alphabet aspect of the runes, but then you have the spiritual side that's much more lost and much more up to interpretation. And so you have a lot of people, especially because the Viking Age has become a pop culture phenomenon to a certain extent. People are going back and using these runes without understanding the cultural significance of them, which in another way is a certain type of cultural appropriation. But then they start to mix it with like much later stuff like the Icelandic staves and stuff like that, which are like these magical runes that are from Iceland, but they're actually Christian symbols. And so they mix them in with this Viking era stuff, not realizing that they're actually using Christian symbols mixed in with the shamanistic symbols. And these Icelandic staves actually come from Eastern Europe in Orthodox Christianity. So, it's like one of those things where I can understand, especially when we're talking about the Native American or American Indian stuff here too. If you're going to try to connect to that spirituality, you have to be, what's the word I want to use? You have to be willing to like be understanding and like be approaching it from the right point of view rather than just like taking stuff from it without appreciating it, for sure. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I've also stumbled across specifically Irish saying that Americans can't be practicing Celtic spirituality. But I'm like, but our ancestors did, or my ancestors came from Ireland. Like if I'm not allowed to use my own heritage, like what am I allowed to use? Like, am I just not allowed to be spiritual at all?
You're just supposed to have like pictures of George Washington on your wall and eat apple pie, I guess. So, like that's all we're allowed to have.
We're all humans.
Sing Yankee Doodle. We can bow down before our altar of George Washington and sing Yankee Doodle. Yeah.
We're all humans, people.
Yeah.
And I hate to tell you this, but we're all the same energy, no matter what planet you're from, even. So get over yourselves.
Yeah.
And it really, I have to bring this up because I'm reading about it, and it just fits right into the conversation. I'm reading a book about the Jesus's apostles right now, and it's from a historical standpoint. And I won't get into why I'm reading about it, but I'm in a chapter about Paul, the Apostle Paul, and they have a ton of letters that he wrote, like the actual historical letters that he wrote to all these different people and places and groups of people and all that stuff. And this is in the very beginning of the Christianity. Like Jesus hadn't been dead that long, and all his people he still knew were alive, right? So they're having a god dang conniption fit about circumcisions. Like the stuff is getting separated out and people are fighting about it over circumcisions. And it's like the people are trying to exclude people because they're not, and like, but some people are saying they shouldn't have to, and like, and I'm like, hold on a second. I'm reading a book about Jesus and his apostles, and they're yelling at each other about what to do with their penises. And it's like, what is going on here?
It all comes down to the D. It always does.
But it's the exclusion thing again, you know? It's like people that wanted to join Christianity, but they weren't of Jewish background, didn't want to have to get circumcised. So, but they still wanted to have the spirituality of the Christianity. But the people that came before them that were of the Jewish background thought they had to be circumcised. And it's like, it already started. It had already started at the very beginning. It's like, why have we continuously done this to ourselves?
Yeah.
That was 2,000 years ago.
Yeah. and you find, it's the club in a lot of ways. Like, I've talked to you about this before, Medium Jenny Lee, but like like even with like the UFO circles and stuff like that, you get these people who are entrenched in like, talking about the UFOs and the research they've done and stuff like that. And they become very exclusionary of anybody else who tries to bring in new information and new viewpoints and stuff like that. So I think in a lot of ways, it's just human, once again, it's this human nature thing.
Yeah.
Listen, there's some questions here
too, that like we're discovering that like the archaeological history is like even further back than like we ever know, but it's scientists are like, no, this is how it was. And it's like you literally have the evidence right in front of your face and you're arguing that it's not real.
Yeah. We're a mess. Humans are just a mess. Oh, goodness.
Welcome in, Lucy. You finally get in and you get to hear Medium Jenny Lee talk about circumcision.
Yelling about penises. What else is new? So I wanted to ask you about your massage therapy stuff. So do you get to, or is it already part of your practice, the Reiki and the crystal healing? Or is that like something that you only would like specifically do with certain people? Or is it just like it's all together?
The goal is that it's all together, but not everybody's open to it. If you get a massage by a Reiki practitioner, you're receiving Reiki, whether you ask for it or not. But some people ask for it. I like to do all of it because it just feels weird not to. So I always have my crystals with me. I am always doing energy work while I'm massaging. But a lot of people don't even know they're receiving it, really. Not many people ask for it. Are there certain clients that you are actually able to talk to them about what kind of energy work you're doing at while you're doing it? Or is it just like mostly like you're just having to keep it to yourself? I guess a lot of times I'm keeping it to myself, not necessarily because I don't want to tell them. Sometimes it's weird and you don't really know how to explain it. And I just like allow the energy to shift and move. And a lot of times you just don't know how to explain it. It's just like, whoa, this feels weird. I'm going to move it. And it just happens. It's very, very intuitive. And a lot of it I can't even really explain.
Interesting. That's cool. So you know a lot about a lot of different things. And I know that when we were talking about doing this together, you were like, I don't even know what I would talk about. And I'm like,
we've got an hour and a half.
That's ridiculous.
Over an hour and a half worth, yeah.
But I want to know, is there something that you want to learn about next or that you have been learning about?
I'm signing up for the Medium Jenny Lee mediumship class.
Hey, I just put it up. It's like it should be live. It's for the end of January 28th.
Well, that's next.
Okay, yay.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, we are. If there's any questions anybody had that would have got, do you have anything else you want to ask me? Generally, we're getting close to the next hour, so we could probably talk for 2 more hours. But
yeah, my only other question I had that I didn't ask was how did you or how does someone become certified in crystal healing?
I went to the Love and Light crystal healing school. That was like my first crystal certification. And she's online. There wasn't anyone in my area that offered a certification, and she was, I think, one of the only ones that I had found. And this was like nearly 10 years ago, online. But now there's a lot of places online. Sage Goddess is another class that I've taken. She has a year-long program that includes crystal healing. So if you're in the larger program, like you just get it naturally. So I've been certified for crystal healing 3 times now because I've just taken her classes for 3 years. I think Hibiscus Moon is an online class as well. That's very popular. I haven't taken it, but I just couldn't find one in my area. So
yeah.
And back then, not many online was available, but now they're everywhere.
Awesome. Let's see. Lucy has a question. How do you suggest getting involved in becoming a Reiki practitioner in an area where there aren't any teachers?
Well, that's online now too. I was certified in New Hampshire when I lived in New Hampshire, and my Reiki teacher isn't even practicing anymore. She was also an angel practitioner. And when Doreen Virtue decided that tarot cards and oracle cards and all the work that she had been doing for the last 20, 30 years or whatever was not Christian and that it was the devil, that Reiki practitioner, because she was a student of Doreen Virtue, like renounced Reiki and everything. And
wow.
So
that sounds like a mess.
It kind of is. So I've never gotten my master's just because I never took the time to find another practitioner, but they're out there.
Yes. Actually, I know a lady who I've wanted to take Reiki with. So I could share that out. She was one of the assistants in my mediumship classes, and I really like her. And I've been wanting to do it, but it's like the money and the time. The money and the time is what's holding me back on that.
Are you worried, linguist? Are you worried that the people you're finding aren't actually accredited? Because you saw people claim they're certified, and my brain goes boom.
Yeah, talking about certified. That was specifically for being a certified medium or a certified psychic.
Oh.
Yeah.
A certified medium or psychic.
Which maybe maybe that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a certified nothing. I just have been doing it for X amount of years. And
I don't know if there is.
No one gave me a certificate. I just took a bunch of classes and now I do it.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things out there that you can take that are certifications. Reiki, crystal healing, I'm sure is like a ton of different things that you can get certified in. I know there's astrology certifications and all kinds of stuff. I mean,
I would imagine that's something
I could
where
print you guys out a certificate after you finish your mediumship basics class. Like,
you're a certified medium. Just give them a stamp.
You've made it through this class.
A rubber stamp they can put on things.
Yeah, Team Weird certified. Yeah.
Create like the Bob Ross, your army of Bob Ross certified painters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for the follow, Wanderer, and thank you, Shadow Max, for the follow as well.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick, what things, I know there's a lot to check out, for you, Priestess. So give us all your information. Where should people go to check out more stuff from you?
Well, priestessofwonderland.com is where everything is.
Excellent.
But I had a special link just for you guys. There's been a delay in the print on demand Just a Phase Moon Planner, but I have a couple copies that I have put online just for you guys.
Oh, wow.
And I will put that. There's only 5, so get them while they're hot.
Get them quick.
Excellent.
I
because I don't know when the print on demand is going to be ready. So
let's see. I'll have to put it in. It deleted your message, so I'm putting it in there for you, though.
Oh.
Shadow Max has a question. Full moon or new moon? Which is your favorite?
New moon. I like to start over. I like a clean slate. Let's forget yesterday. Go on to the future.
So there's some of Priestess of Wonderland's links. There's her website, her YouTube, and there's the link that she said you guys can quickly snatch up your Just a Phase Moon Planner for 2023.
Excellent. So Priestess, for those who are listening after this is recorded, priestessofwonderland.com. Make sure you go there and check her out and get some shopping done. Hopefully I'll try to have this up this weekend, so people listen to it on this on the first go around as a podcast can get that information as well. Excellent. All right. Well, we're coming close.
And of course, find her here on Twitch.
100%. Yeah, definitely on Twitch and YouTube. Priestess of Wonderland. Definitely check them out. Once again, as I said, you can check out this podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. We have a new merch store up. I just ordered the beanie, and it's organic cotton. I think it came out pretty well. I wanted to order some things to, there we go. We got a good view of it there. Has the clock and all that stuff on it. I wanted to order this stuff to make sure that it was like quality, and it really is. It's all like organic cotton. It stretches wonderfully. I have a big dome, so it fits my head well. It stretches good. It's all organic cotton, and it's like all stitched real well. So you never know. So quality approved so far. So anyways, thank you everyone for coming in.
The new purple Team Weird shirt.
Oh yes, yeah, I have the green one. Yeah.
And I have my my Just a Phase 2023 Moon Planner. Right, hold on. Right next to my Just a Phase Moon Planner from 2022.
Yay! Thank you guys for having me on here. I am a fan of the Witching Hours podcast, and I can't wait to see what you guys do next.
Next week, we actually should be having Vicky back on. She was the lady who came on and talked about angels. Ooh. She's going to come on and talk to us about her experiences and trip to Lilydale, which is the spiritualist capital of the world in New York, the state of New York.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, I think she's going to have some pretty interesting stories for us.
And do we have that locked down to a day yet?
The 8th.
Okay, so there we go. December 8th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
A week from today.
There we go. Excellent.
In December.
And we've been thinking about ideas for a Christmas stream as well. So
yes, if you guys have any ideas
let us
for a
know.
Christmas stream, what do you want to see on a Christmas stream?
Yeah, we could just do a hangout. As you can tell, we don't have, this is only the second stream on here. So we don't have, we got to get everything set up so we can get emotes and stuff like that. So we got to get some hours in. So you might catch us on here just doing some random stuff just to get some emotes and stuff like that for you guys to play with and chat. But if not, we'll be back on here next Thursday. Well, thank you so much, Alyson, for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone in chat and everyone listening around the world. And
We're going to channel Santa Claus.
channel Santa Claus.
And Keisha wants snow.
We have some possibly on the forecast, which is a little early for us. So
Yeah.
we're going to wait and see. It's a little ways out right now.
So Alyson, don't get off yet when we leave.
Okay.
We will chit chat a little bit after we end the stream.
Well, quick question, because we can do an end for the podcast. Did you guys want to do any readings after the stream, or do we want to do that another time?
I think we should do it another time. It's already 10 o'clock.
It's already getting
I need to have you on my channel too.
Yes, we need to plan that out also. Okay. And another movie night. That was fun.
Yes.
Yeah. We already have a bunch of ideas for another movie night, so we can all jump in Discord and watch. We have the new Willow TV show coming out, which could be really interesting to do.
I think it just came out today, right?
Oh, it did it? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So maybe, if you want to watch Willow, but maybe we can, if you haven't watched it yet, we can do some streaming in one of our Discords and watch it as a group, because I had a lot of fun with the Dark Crystal.
Doing the Dark Crystal, yeah, it was awesome.
Does this show fit into the movie? Is it a remake, or is it a prequel, or is it
a sequel?
It's a sequel.
Because it's got Warwick Davis, was that his name? Yeah, and he plays the same character. So definitely, sequel. So that'll be interesting. All right. All right, everyone.
All right, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Yep. Have a great night, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Witching Hours. You can visit our social media at facebook.com. Follow Medium Jenny Lee on Twitter and YouTube, which contains videos related to mediumship, tarot, and general weirdness. You can follow Giant of the Frost at Twitter and Frost Giant Rune and Tarot, where you can find personalized rune and tarot readings. Past episodes of The Witching Hours can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many other places you listen to your podcasts.